From the terrifying king of lizards to a monster elephant-like creature with upside-down tusks, here are 10 bizarre prehistoric creatures you won't believe actually existed. 10. Basilosaurus, king of the lizards. The Basilosaurus was a terrifying creature with sharp teeth and a mouth so big it could swallow you without even knowing it. The beast is now extinct, and most would be pretty happy about that. The creature lived between 40 and 35 million years ago and could grow to be over 60 feet or 18 meters in length. Its name translates to king lizard, but the animal was not actually a lizard. Instead, it was a savage, predatory whale. The first fossil of this great and ancient beast was discovered in Alabama. Scientists at first thought it was some kind of aquatic reptile, but they were slightly confused because it came from a more recent time when mammals ruled the earth. It wasn't for a while until they realized it was actually a whale, but one unlike anything lurking in the oceans alive today. Unfortunately, scientists still don't know everything about the Basilosaurus. Some of its body parts weren't preserved long enough for scientists to find them. Usually, nothing at all is left of an animal that's been dead millions and millions of years. Scientists do know it was the largest meat-eater during its time on Earth. It probably went extinct due to climate change, and that's about it. We haven't collected enough fossils yet to learn more about the great king lizard. 9. Opabinia, Cambrian Freakshow. The Opabinia is one of the strangest creatures that ever lived. It was really tiny, no larger than a shrimp. But it had 5 eyes bulging out of its face, with a mouth on the underside of its body facing backwards. The lobes that came out from the sides of the Opabinia were quite flat and projected in a downwards angle. The lobes also overlapped with one another, with the rear edge placed over the top of the front edge with the lobe behind it. Markings on these lobes are believed to be gills and are present on all but strangely not the first lobes on either side. However, these gills have also been interpreted to being on both either the top or lower sides of the lobes. If the gills were underneath, they would have been protected from above. However, if the gills were on the top of the lobe, they would have been protected from below as well, having a greater exposure to the flow of ocean water due to the overlapping arrangement. All its features seem to be in the wrong place, causing a freak show from the Cambrian era, unlike any other weird critter living in the oceans today. The fossils of the Opabinia were discovered in British Columbia, and the creature flourished about 500 million years ago. It was only 3 inches long, but was a voracious carnivore. It would have used its proboscis to search for creatures on the dusty seafloor and shove them into its backwards mouth. As for what kind of animal it was, scientists agree the Opabinia was probably an ancestor of arthropods, or that it was at least related to the ancient ancestors of arthropods. Perhaps with its closest living relative being the velvet worm, another disgusting and very weird-looking creature. Proganochelys, the first turtle. The Proganochelys may be the oldest turtle ever, with fossils dating back to the Permian epoch around 298 million years ago. It was first discovered and named by Georg Bohr in the year 1887. Researchers say it was about 3 feet or 1 meter long and had some very primitive features not found in very many other turtle specimens. For example, it had teeth. Turtles typically don't have teeth. But these weren't even normal teeth. They were located on the roof of the turtle's mouth instead of on its jaws. Even though this is one of the most primitive turtles ever to be found, much debate is still going on about where turtles came from even before. Some claim turtles evolved from the same group as dinosaurs and crocodiles. Others say turtles came from a group of lizards, and a third theory suggests turtles came from a group of creatures known as anapsids, which were strange animals, utterly terrifying, looking like turtles mixed with armadillos mixed with dinosaurs. We wonder if these turtles would have been as calm as some of the peaceful ones we know and love today, or aggressive because of the way they looked. 7. Tully monster, the weirdest animal ever. The Tully monster almost looked like a swimming slug with a very long lobster claw growing out of its non-existent face. That's how weird this animal was. Can you picture it? Scientists have recently uncovered the truth about this bizarre creature though, which they previously thought was some kind of strange worm. They now know that the Tully monster was a type of fish with no jaw known as a lamprey. What's really funny is that scientists have been trying to figure out the origins of the Tully monster, which lived 300 million years ago, for the past half-century. The fossils of the Tully monster were found in northern Illinois. According to Victoria McCoy, who conducted the study of the Tully monster while at Yale University, it should be ranked at the top of the scale in weirdness. It had a body shaped like a torpedo and a nose like a trunk that ended in a claw. Paleontologist James Lansdell of the American Museum of Natural History in New York said, "I've always loved detective work, and in paleontology it doesn't get much better than this. Our restudy of the specimens has shown that it is a very strange lamprey, a group of eel-like vertebrates that live in rivers and seas today." One more time, imagine a fish with an arm growing out of it that is just about as long as its body, with a tiny pincer claw at the end. That's what the Tully monster looked like. It even had eyes set on either end of a bar-like structure that stretched across its back. It was about 14 inches or 36 centimeters long and had a single dorsal fin. It was basically the weirdest prehistoric fish ever. What do you think is the most bizarre creature that's still alive today? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. 6. Short-faced bear, the largest bear. In North America during the last ice age, the most powerful land carnivore was the short-faced bear. It weighed a whopping 1,500 pounds or 683 kilos. It was taller than the modern grizzly bear, and it had much longer limbs. In other words, it was a much more efficient killing machine. Oh, and it also had a short face, hence where it got its name. The largest skull of the bear was found by a gold miner in the Yukon, dating back to around 20,000 years ago. The short-faced bear lived all throughout North America, all the way from Mexico to Alaska. They would have acted as a solitary predator and part-time scavenger, wandering through the forest eating whatever it found. What's really cool is that the short-faced bear went extinct not too long ago. The last one probably died out around 11,000 years before today, beaten at its own game by the rise of the grizzly bear, which migrated to North America from Eurasia. This was a time when all the largest predators were being beaten out by smaller, more versatile animals. 5. Archaeotherium, pig from hell. The Archaeotherium was a kind of entelodont. Entelodonts are the ancestors of modern cattle and sheep, and they lived in the floodplains of ancient Colorado, South Dakota, Wyoming, and Nebraska between 37 and 23 million years ago. The Archaeotherium is popularly known as the pig from hell. That is because it was a massive creature of around 6 feet or 1.8 meters in length, with a skull that took up half its body and long jaws that it used to rip apart unsuspecting prey. It also may have had tusks that it used to dig roots and other plants out of the ground. It may have feasted on ancient camels, as bones belonging to one such creature were discovered crushed in Wyoming, probably from the strong teeth of the hell pig. Yikes! Oddly enough, even though it's referred to as the pig from hell, the Archaeotherium is more closely related to whales and hippos. According to a study done in 2008 and 2009, it probably wasn't even closely related to modern pigs. These animals were also highly aggressive based on skull injuries found in almost all specimens, suggesting they fought with each other frequently. 4. Hatzegopteryx, winged death. In the United Kingdom, the fossil of a giant prehistoric creature was discovered stuck in cliffs on the Isle of Wight. This creature, known as the Hatzegopteryx, had a wingspan of around 20 feet and lived 125 million years ago. According to paleontologists, it was probably one of the biggest species that ever flew in the skies of our planet. It was a hunting predator that weighed 650 pounds or 295 kilos and had elongated jaws that it used to catch and eat prey. The sheer size of the beast has baffled scientists for years because they seem way too heavy to fly. To give you an example of just how large this flying nightmare was, the bald eagle only reaches a maximum of 14 pounds. That's 14 pounds or 6.3 kilos versus 650. The Hatzegopteryx was so big that researchers had to use computerized models to figure out how it managed to even stay airborne. They deduced that the monster used its huge and very powerful legs, along with its wing muscles, to literally catapult itself into the air, at which point it flew like an airplane through the skies and snatched up anything it wanted to eat. And in case you're wondering, this animal was indeed a type of pterosaur. Scientists believe it may have been one of the earliest of its kind to reach such gigantic proportions. And unlike birds that waddle around on 2 legs, pterosaurs like this would have 4 legs that they could scuttle around on the ground with, just being generally terrifying. 3. Mosasaurus, rulers of the sea. The Mosasaurus was arguably the most ferocious predator that lived in the oceans during the Cretaceous. Between 145 and 65.5 million years ago, dinosaurs dominated the land, and the Mosasaurus dominated the seas. It had a long tail and limbs like paddles that it used to cruise easily through the water, devouring all in its path with sharp teeth and massive jaws. You would not want to get in the way of a Mosasaurus. There were actually a lot of different types of mosasaurs, with the Mosasaurus being just one genus. There were several different kinds, all of them savage monsters that ruled the oceans. And no, they weren't marine dinosaurs. Instead, they were dangerous reptiles closely related to the snakes and lizards of today. According to the Philip J. Curry Dinosaur Museum, the Jurassic Park movie showed a Tylosaurus mosasaur, which was the largest mosasaur to exist. In real life, it probably only grew up to 50 feet or 15 meters in length. And while it's hard to figure out the exact size of the mosasaur in the Hollywood blockbuster movie, it's conservatively somewhere around 100 feet or 30 meters in length, which is at least twice its real-life size. But just like the dinosaurs, mosasaurs went extinct 65.5 million years ago thanks to the asteroid that wiped everyone out. 2. Godzilla shark, prehistoric reptilian. Paleontologists working with the New Mexico Museum of Natural History and Science found the fossil of a beast in 2013 that they called Godzilla. This monster was some kind of prehistoric shark that grew to be over 7 feet or 2.1 meters long, which made the name Godzilla quite fitting. The beast also had some very unusual features, such as 12 rows of sharp teeth in its mouth and 2 rows of spines on its back. It took 7 years for researchers to catalogue the different characteristics of the Godzilla shark. What they found is it's the biggest shark ever discovered in New Mexico from around 390 million years ago, at the time when a family of sharks known as ctenocanths, which Godzilla belonged to, broke off from modern sharks. The biggest difference between these 2 families of sharks is the size of their jaws. Ctenocanths had huge and more rigid jaws that they used to crush prey into mush. It's pretty rare to find actual skeletal material of ancient sharks, let alone a complete skeleton that also preserved the body outline and other soft tissue impressions. So yeah, Godzilla is pretty cool. 1. Deinotherium, terrible beast. The Deinotherium was a massive animal that looked a lot like an elephant and lived throughout Africa, Europe, and Central Asia. They are believed to be the largest elephants that ever walked the earth, even bigger than the African elephants of today. Unlike modern elephants, these creatures had very long legs, flat foreheads, and shorter trunks. They also had tusks that curved inwards from the bottom of their jaws. This is basically the opposite of modern elephants, and they probably used these backward tusks for stripping tree branches of their vegetation. The first Deinotherium diverged off the evolutionary tree from normal elephants about 28 million years ago. This probably happened in Ethiopia. At the time, the animals were pretty small, only around 6.6 feet or 2 meters tall, but eventually they would grow to be over 13 feet or nearly 4 meters tall and weighing over 29,000 pounds. That's 13,000 kilos. The last of these enormous beasts died out about 1 million years ago in Kenya, suggesting that some of the earliest hominids may have even interacted with this prehistoric animal. Hey, thanks for watching! Which prehistoric monster is your favorite? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe for the channel for even more awesome videos. See you next time. Bye!